Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with I Trek. Big shout out to all the I Trek fan, man, that is tapping in. Huge shout out to Genesis for the super chat, man. I appreciate you guys for all the support. And if this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy videos. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, and let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Let me explain being a star to you.
Okay.
An artist works their entire life to make it to a certain place, to get their music heard. You know, it's the center point of passion, of love, of sex, of money, of drugs, everything meets in entertainment. There is nobody that isn't a fan of some form of entertainment, okay? So they work their entire career to get to this point. They get to that point and they don't know how they made it. They don't know the difference between one baby and another baby, a song. They don't know why you're calling this baby ugly, but you like this one. You'll say that I look like hell on this, but I don't look like hell on that. Or I'm having a bad day and I snap at a fan, it's on the front page of the New York Times. There's these extreme highs and extreme lows. You're standing out there performing for 17,000 people. They're all screaming, I love you, but you have to run off the stage into a dark tunnel, hop into your car, go to a hotel, not see anybody, because that same 17,000 people will rip you to death if they see you. You will get stampeded by them. They infringe upon every part of your privacy. Now, with those extreme highs and extreme lows, you have that extreme high of 17,000 people. Then you walk into that dark hotel room with nobody around you, and you're told, go to sleep, we got to get up at 6 a.m. You're coming off of that high of that show. What do you do to go to sleep? You have a drink, pop a pill, whatever you need to do to go to sleep.
Oh, wow.
After that that hardcore adrenaline rush at 6 o'clock in the morning when you get back and the sun's coming up. Do you know what I'm saying? Or on to the next city. And then they wake you up fast and say, we need to get you on this plane. So then you don't sleep and the sleep deprivation sits in. So if you don't sleep for 4 days, what happens? Psychosis. So a lot of this is not, I don't think a lot of it is the drugs. I don't think a lot of it is any of that. I think it's sleep deprivation. You know what I mean? They don't sleep for 4 days. They don't eat for 4 days because they're racing against a clock, because every artist's internal clock is you're only as good as your last hit. You know what I mean? So if they release a song and they have a stiff, their career's over to them. So why didn't they like this one? They liked the last one.
Yeah, you know what? He made a really good point with that sleep deprivation. You know, a lot of us would fall apart if we missed one good night of sleep. Imagine 3-4 days. Yeah, he's speaking facts.
Where I go now, they'll say, tell us more about the backdrop people. Everything is energy. Nothing is real anyway. Everything you see, everything that's around you, everything in your life, you're creating and putting there. This is your movie. It wouldn't be a very good movie, would it, if you were the only person in the movie? You have the backdrop people. When you cast a movie, you cast all the extras to play all the parts of all the people. Those are the backdrop people. And when I go into a crowded airport now, I'm thinking, oh boy, look at all the backdrop people I've just created. I shouldn't have put so many into this. The backdrop people are not real. They are energy. Now, the people in your life, those are real. Those are the ones that are on the evolutionary path. They're real, and you've made these contracts with all these other people, but these other ones are not. And I said, do they have souls? They said, no. They said, it's holographic, because this is how powerful your mind is.
What is synthetic consensus? Synthetic consensus is a form of dark persuasion that uses bots and real people to artificially manipulate opinions online. Artificial accounts have been used since the beginning of the internet to artificially inflate follower accounts, likes, and retweets. The problem is when these artificial accounts are used to manufacture consensus on important social issues. During the 2016 election, bots were frequently used to make topics trend on Twitter, creating the false impression that certain stories were of great importance. People paid to post, and these bots filled up comment sections, making it look like certain ideas had way more natural backing than they really did. Using synthetic consensus, you can move the future of the world. You can create an entire world based on lies. Young people are coming up in a world where you can't know what is true or not.
And I definitely have a few clips that are showing that Instagram is really going through that. There's bots left and right over there.
Jacobo Grinberg, neuroscientist and psychologist, introduced synergetic theory, a bold concept that merges science and spirituality to understand human consciousness. For Grinberg, consciousness was not just a brain function, but an expression of a broader connection with what he called the universal energetic field. In this view, the brain does not merely act as a physical organ. Instead, it serves as a translator, a bridge linking our mind to an invisible and abundant network of information permeating the entire universe.
I told you certain TV shows are there to program us to accept our future, not warn us, not predict it, but prepare us to normalize it. People love to say shows like Mirror are dystopian warnings like, whoa, that would be awful if it ever happened. But here's the thing. Your brain doesn't treat it as a warning. It treats it as a dress rehearsal. You know, you see the tech, you see the society around it, and even if it creeps you out, a part of your subconscious gets used to it. Familiarity. And that familiarity becomes acceptance. They've been doing this for decades. Just before the moon landing, they pumped out the first big sci-fi films all about space travel, rockets, astronauts, even landing on the moon. Then, suddenly, we're watching it happen on live TV, and it feels normal. Not shocking, because we already saw it. Not in real life, but on screen. And our minds made peace with it there first. The same thing's happening now. You watch some guy in a show rewinding his memories with a chip behind his ear, and you think, okay, that's futuristic. But then Apple or Neuralink rolls out something similar, and suddenly it's not sci-fi. It's just the next update. You're not being warned, you're being prepped. So the next time you're watching something that feels a little too possible, just ask yourself, are they entertaining you or are they rehearsing you? I'm gonna go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes.
Now, if you were born in the 80s, you've definitely got a chance to see a whole lot of different programs going on, especially if you've been paying attention to television and movies.
Of our flat Earth from 1970 to Apollo mission. These are clips taken from 2 hours apart. You can see the ice wall and more land beyond it. Could that possibly be another world beyond it?
Class, name, age, and birth date. I am my labels. I am a label. I have fallen into label consciousness. When all along, the true self, the true I, the infinite I, that which leaves the body and attains its consciousness, indeed expands its consciousness as it leaves the body, filter, focus, we are simply awareness, a state of being aware. What is race? Same consciousness, different color vehicle. That's all it is. What is sexuality? Same consciousness, different experience. That's all it is. It's not the color of our skin that makes us different. It's the color of our thoughts. Or as Martin Luther King put it, it's not the color of our skin, it's the content of our character. And we can become so focused on the 5 sense labels that we cease to be influenced by the vastness of consciousness beyond it. If we isolate ourselves, and this is what the system wants us to do, with self-identity, only with the experiences, then we don't let our minds flow into the infinity beyond this reality and all that insight, knowledge, understanding, intuitive knowing that is kept from us. One of the great keys to human enslavement, individual and collective, is to sell the idea that your target population is free. The illusion of freedom. Because people who believe they are free do not rebel about the fact that they're not. The key to it all, however, is slavery of the mind. This is a guy called Edward Bernays. He's still known today as the father of PR, what we would call now spin. He said, we are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. People are rarely aware of the real reasons which motivate their actions. He called it the invisible government. It's that which dictates perception. I call it the program. One big program. That's what human life is, if we allow it to be, from cradle to grave. And I call this hoax, this program, the postage stamp consensus. This is what people are downloading all their lives if they allow it to happen. Get them early and keep them for life. It goes like this. You come out of the womb, well, immediately you are having your perceptions influenced by your parents. Not because they're bad people, not because they're doing it malevolently, but they've been through the process you're about to go through and they've bought it. They think it's the right thing to do to pass it on to you.
I like how he breaks down how easily the conscious mind can be controlled and manipulated. Because that's a real thing, and it does happen as soon as you're born, man.
1908, it was reported that there was a woman whose left hand would sometimes attack her. Her left hand would grab her throat and try to strangle her and require her to use her right hand and the rest of her body to fight it off. Since then, there have been many documented cases of this so-called alien hand syndrome, where somebody's limb can seem to have a mind of its own. One hand might be trying to put on clothes to start the day, whereas the other hand then goes to take them off because it wants to stay in bed or something. And it's best documented in cases where somebody has undergone a corpus callosotomy. Your brain is split into two hemispheres, and these hemispheres are connected by a group of fibers called the corpus callosum. A corpus callosotomy is the severing or partial severing of the corpus callosum. Communication between the two hemispheres is disrupted. Now, you may know that the right hemisphere of your brain broadly controls your left arm, and the left hemisphere of your brain broadly controls your right arm. And so if the hemispheres aren't communicating with each other, it might make sense that your arms would start wanting to do different things. And this is seen by some as supportive evidence that there are two consciousnesses sort of in battle with each other in this one human brain. If you have alien hand syndrome and your left hand is trying to do something and you have no idea what it's doing and can't control it, where is the consciousness that does want to move the hand? Is it sort of trapped somewhere, but it can't get out through the mouth or any other means of communication? Is that alien hand trying to tell us something? I don't want to think about it.
It sounds pretty similar to Tourette's, but for your hand. Imagine your hand just spazzing out at any given moment, just...
Ever heard of the dude named Walter Russell?
No.
Just want to preface beforehand, he was not a Christian. In 1926, he had a 39-day period of cosmic illumination. He was basically in like a trance. Like there was this being that came to him and was teaching him everything about the universe.
Okay, so this wasn't self-induced.
No.
Something visited him?
So he said he had direct union with the universal consciousness. And he believed that what this thing told him was that everything is actually made up of light. It's not physical. Like our life that we're experiencing right now is just a projection of this universal consciousness. So we're basically living inside the consciousness of this God.
Yeah.
But he like was writing out like math formulas and stuff to like prove this advanced science, but this dude had no scientific background. But he's like, this is just what they showed me. And he stated that humanity needed to live in alignment with the universal law and divine order, or it would suffer chaos, war, and collapse. He was ignored and dismissed by everyone in mainstream science. But this is where it gets weird. Nikola Tesla,
listener of crazy people,
approached him. He said, keep your ideas secret until you have proof. He said, you should lock them up in a safe for 1,000 years.
I do love that. That's a great way to get somebody to not talk to you, though.
Yeah.
The wild part about that is the older you get, the more that seems to ring true. I don't know. Let me know what you think.
The door, open, a round door, you know, like in the Stargate. And I don't know if it's as big. There is one picture that the person is quite small, actually, on it. You can go and look for those interested. Go and type CERN, portal, LHC, door, and you will see. So in front of the door, they have a room. They probably have many doors, but they have a room, and they sit around the table. And I said, so, yeah, what happened? He said, well, an entity came from this portal and like what? It sat at the table. And I was like, but how is this what do you mean entity? Is it a person? Is it an alien? What color? Are they like us? And they couldn't answer anything. They said, no, it's not. We know, we just know it at CERN. they cannot describe it, but they have it secondhand. It's not third, fourth. It's a very good friend who knows.
That's right.
Okay, I have to find something more because that's not enough. I mean,
even she knows it's not enough. I mean, she is a scientist, you know.
I said, can you proof? And is there a proof that they bring, that they give something? There's some document, and they said that this entity the second time took a scarf and left a scarf. I said, what type of scarf in it? They don't know. They're not into the detail. They were really into the event and not the detail. And this entity left again. So that's the short scoop that started me trying to look for that. And so,
from what I understand, CERN's whole objective was to crash atoms to open up portals and things like that. So I can imagine if they actually managed to accomplish it, their mind would be so blown that they would forget some details. At the same time, from the outside looking in, I'm sure we all want to know, what exactly did you see down to the detail?
Я, брат.
Никто не может несколько.
Okay, so now it's more real. As you can see, BRICS came out with their own currency, so they're definitely trying to outdo the dollar, man.
So President Putin has said a few things that's got me a little rattled, and I think it'll have you rattled as well. Give me a second, let me explain. President Putin of Russia came out on the world stage and he gave a speech. In that speech, he said, I have proof, and this is all alleged. He said, I have proof that the American people are eating each other unbeknownst to them. That we are being fed each other and we have no clue about it. Yeah, that's what he said. Number two, he said that allegedly he has video, audio, satellite images all across the board that will disprove what we have been taught and told about 9/11. Yeah. I don't know about you. I can't speak for everybody in the U.S. But President Putin, if you have this proof, release it. The American people want to know.
I'll go ahead and second that. I definitely want to know.
Remember the Disney movie, Fantasia, from 1940? In this scene, they show a wizard summoning a demon. And then of all things, the demon morphs into a monarch butterfly. I wonder why Disney would inject this type of symbolism in children's movies. Because the monarch butterfly is not only a confirmed PDF file symbol, it's also an occult symbol and a symbol used to represent mind control. In a movie called Fantasia, where Mickey Mouse is a wizard. How about the older McDonald's commercials? Looking back, not only were they creepy, prior to I'm loving it, it was do you believe in magic? Well, do you believe in magic? Do you believe in magic enough to protect your kids' eyes, ears, and mouth as if they were portals to their soul? And what they see, hear, and ingest will have a direct impact on their life? We've definitely become too comfortable consuming things we didn't prepare ourselves. Back to companies such as Disney and McDonald's, which are a part of most Americans' childhood. Disney has shown their allegiance by having Club 33, and we know which club based on the checkered flooring. Or how about the 666 in Walt Disney? Or the 666 on the Art of Disney? If that's not enough, the older castles resemble the castle on Epstein Island, also with what seems to be symbolism displaying a firmament in the Tower of Babel. I could go on forever about Disney, but let's talk about the Red Shoe Club theory. Upon doing a little research and then taking Ronald McDonald's all-red paint job into consideration, kinda hard not to believe. Clowns typically have more colors and paint around the eyes, not just red paint around the mouth and on the tip of the nose. How about McDonald's drive-through signs?
likely more 13 symbolism on its side. While on the topic of comfortable consumption, trick-or-treating was a terrible idea. I'm confident the origins to trick and trick-or-treat is the kind associated with magic. Where would things like anxiety, depression, anger, addiction come from, if not from consumption?
I don't know about you, but Ronald McDonald always gave me the creeps. Always. And I guess that's why he kind of faded to the background. You don't really see too much of him around anymore now, do you?
The ancient myth explains why some people remember their past lives and others don't. Plato shared this myth in The Republic. It's a story that explores what happens after we die, and why some souls return with memories of past lives. It's called the myth of and in this story, a soldier named dies in battle, but instead of staying dead, he travels through the afterlife and returns to the living to report everything he saw. He learned souls were judged based on their previous lives. The righteous were rewarded and the unjust were punished. After serving their time, each soul was brought to the spindle of necessity, where they could choose their next life. Each soul was then assigned a guardian spirit to guide them through their next incarnation. But before they could return to Earth, every soul had to drink from the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. According to Plato, the more a soul drank, the more it forgot. Some drank deeply and remembered nothing. Others only sipped and returned with faint memories of their past lives. That's why Plato says some people are born with no memory of past lives, while others remember glimpses. He taught that the soul goes through many cycles of rebirth until it eventually escapes the cycle through wisdom and self-awareness. So have you ever recalled a past life memory, or do you want to?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. I know for a fact that I'm an old soul. But now we know a little bit more about what that river does. And, you know, when you drink from it, you kind of forget and this, that, and the third. For some odd reason, I have no thirst at all. Go figure. Hey, let me know what you think, though.
To Cold Heart, the pattern and movement of these drones, if they were drones, suggests something beyond our current capabilities. No sound, no visible propulsion, no explanation. First, I always like to start with the boring theory. Maybe they were hobbyist drones or a private company test. But here's the thing. No company stepped forward and said that was the case. There was no FAA flight plans filed, which is illegal for drones the size of SUVs, which also don't exist, or something. The fan favorite theory is that this was a military black project. Some say this could be DARPA or a defense contractor like Raytheon testing autonomous flight AI. But again, no acknowledgement and no clear reason to test something like this in a highly populated area where civilians are bugging out and filming and screaming and crying in their backyard. The next theory, that it was some sort of mass hallucination. And finally, the last theory, and the one we're all rooting for, me and the boys and the crackheads on the internet. They were aliens, baby. Come on. You know they were. We know they were. Let's stop it. Let's stop shuffling around. We know the truth.
Did you see the different faces in the tree? If you didn't see it, rewind that one back. That was pretty creepy.
Dozens of furry robotic rabbits in pens were deployed by researchers across South Florida to test their ability to attract invasive Burmese pythons. The mechanical rodents were equipped with motors and small heaters that mimic the movements and body temperature of a marsh rabbit. The researchers plan to eventually add rabbit scent if motion and heat aren't enough to trick the pythons.
Altion Jurek, best known as Altion Childs, is an Australian performer who topped the charts after winning the second season of X Factor Australia in 2010. On April 15th of this year, Altion published a 5-hour video claiming he was initiated into the Freemasons and that Freemasonry is hiding the true world religion, Satanism. He goes on to reveal how every initiate must swear a vow of secrecy to never reveal the secrets of Freemasonry to anyone whatsoever, under penalty of having their bodies severed in two and their bowels burned to ashes, their throats slit and their tongue torn out by the roots.
This is the sign you do upon entering and exiting the ritual room while facing the Grand Master. It stands for throat slit, and it goes like this.
They use symbolic gestures to flaunt their secret religion, such as the sign of the Master of the Second Veil, or the hidden hand, the sign of silence. As you move up the ranks of Freemasonry, the oaths of silence for taking each degree become more brutal, having your heart torn out and fed to wild beasts, your head struck off and placed on the highest spire of Christendom, destroying your business and reputation, and hanging you in your own home. Masonic rules clearly stipulate that the Lodge has the authority and obligation to uphold these mandates and penalize any member who violates them. Masonic rules also warn members from inviting the vulgar and profane. The profane is what they call the uninitiated, anyone outside their secret order. As one climbs the ladder of power in Freemasonry, each degree requires more barbaric acts from the initiate. From being humiliated and stepped on, drinking wine from a human skull, stabbing human skulls. And in one of the highest degrees, the initiate removes a blindfold to find a severed human head lying on the floor with a bloody knife beside it. He is instructed to take the knife in his right hand and the head in his left. Eventually, this leads the initiate to accept human sacrifice as a rite of initiation, which is the ultimate goal of this unholy hierarchy. 33rd degree Mason Manly P. Hall, who was named Freemason of the Century, wrote that Freemasonry is a religion and that initiates are intentionally misled until they reach the highest levels. He wrote that Freemasonry is an outer organization concealing an inner brotherhood, one visible and one invisible. The invisible is dedicated to the service of a mysterious arcanum arcanorum.
It may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. And that's something that you wear, but you could also imagine including authentication in just your daily habits. So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication? This pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. When you swallow it, the acids in your stomach serve as the electrolyte.
That's what I do.
And they power it up. And essentially, your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes, this is true. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. This is not science fiction. This pill was actually made by a company called Proteus. And they've developed it for medical applications. That pill has been CE stamped and cleared by the FDA. You can take 30 of those per day for the rest of your life.
And then what happens? Does your heart beat change? Does your
We can just tell that you've taken the pill. I mean, the medical application.
Does Google now know everything I do and everywhere I go? Because let's face it, we like you guys, but you're from Google.
Just give him some water and let him take that pill.
You know what? He had one of those, hey, wait a minute moments. You know what I mean? When you stop and you think, wait a minute, there's something else going on. Yeah, Google knows everything about you, and they want to know even more.
This is a massive first edition King James Bible. It's incredibly heavy, but believe it or not, I have a book that is even older than this 400-year-old Bible, and twice as large. You're not going to believe this. Watch this. Look at this one. I can barely hold it up. It's 500 years old. It's an antiphonal. It's Gregorian chants, all handwritten. It's incredible, but it is so heavy, I have to put it down. I'm running out of breath. I've got to go.
Do you want to hear about the greatest imposters of human history?
Please.
Queen Elizabeth I was actually a man.
What?
I don't believe it.
So when she was 9 years old, she was sent off to a town called Bisley because there's a plague going on. King Henry, he hadn't seen her for many years. And so he was out on a hunting trip close to Bisley. And so he's like, I'm going to go visit my daughter. On his way there, Queen Elizabeth got sick and died. King Henry VIII obviously had a very bad temper. She's looking for a girl that looks close to Queen Elizabeth. Can't find any girl. But Queen Elizabeth's friend, they said a very pretty boy, red hair. So they dressed him up like Queen Elizabeth. And then King Henry got there. There's no suspicion. She became queen. If you look back, she had no weakness of a woman, but the mind of a man. She would always wear a high collar. She refused to get married. But the kicker, hundreds of years later, in Bisley, there's a graveyard very close to the house where Queen Elizabeth grew up. There's an unmarked grave. And when they excavated it, there was a little girl girl, the same age as when Queen Elizabeth would have died. She was wearing Tudor clothes, like royalty clothes, but an unmarked grave.
Your brain actually needs to drop its temperature by about 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit to initiate sleep. And that's the reason that you will always find it easier to fall asleep in a room that's too cold than too hot.
That's crazy. That explains why I like it ice cold when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey, what about you?
This was the video that got the girl that worked at McDonald's sent home early before she came back with a knife to murder her boss. So she got sent home 2 days in a row for stuff like this.
I got sent home early yesterday. I got sent home early today by the same person. I'm telling you, she's a bully.
And the story after this is really crazy. So she went home, got a knife from home, brought it back, and this is literally moments, seconds before she attacked her boss. Her boss's name is Jennifer. She has 6 kids. She stabbed her to death at work. And somebody in the drive-thru had a firearm on them, to which they had fired it hoping it would break them up. But it didn't. She continued till she was done, then ran out the building. To which the person in the drive-thru chased her down, held her at gunpoint until the police arrived. This is Jennifer, the manager, and her children. And this is Feni Muhammad, 26-year-old who attacked Jennifer at the police station after her arrest. Now, people have gone on to say that Feni and Jennifer were totally cool at work. But little did Jennifer know that Feni had it out for her. So always remember to be careful at work, because you never really know how your coworkers feel about you.
Now that we know the full story, we know she was more than just a disgruntled employee. She has some real mental issues. She's going to have a lot of time to work it out.
In waking life, you solve problems with logic and effort. In dreams, you solve it with belief and symbolism. Let's say you're lost in a dream. You don't need a map. You just need to expect that the next door leads home. Or maybe you're facing something scary. Instead of running, ask it what it wants. In dreams, fear often hides something very important. Even emotional blocks can be explored this way. Visualize the problem, give it form, and talk to it. Dream logic lets you manifest solutions symbolically. Need guidance? Ask a dream figure. Need clarity? Call for a book, a sign, a voice in the sky. Lucid dreaming isn't just an escape, it's a sandbox for the soul.
Astrology is a science for poets, or metaphor sneaking around with mathematics. Like the Bible, astrology can drive you crazy if you surrender free will and you become addicted to constant guidance, or you lose yourself in the contradictions of interpretations. Astrology is like a conversation with the heavens, a map of shifting possibilities, not an infallible oracle. There's no doom in astrology the way I see it. There are practitioners who think that certain aspects have certain results and there's no escaping it, and they think that some planets are malefic, as they call it, or negative, and they always are painful for human beings. I don't think that's true. I think that every element of astrology, every tool that we use to understand it, is representing a spectrum of choices.
This is by far the scariest clip of Brittany Murphy on the internet, and I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to show you. The very first time I watched this, I said I do not claim negative energy from this clip. That's how bad it freaked me out. Brittany and Ashton are doing a press interview for their new movie. Ashton makes a joke about what he would wear on his wedding night. Mind you, at this time, these two are dating, so it's relevant. They're like jousting each other the whole time. But it's when he makes this comment about what he would be wearing and then he starts laughing that Brittany has this really interesting response. It starts off like he's gonna joke around, like she has been the entire interview. She's gonna make a face and be like, uh-oh, ha. And it's cheeky and it's campy and it's fun. But what happens is really frightening instead. It lasts a little too long. The reaction is a little too clearly out of her own control. And then she only snaps back into her body after he stops laughing. And I think that is very important to note. I've done deep dives on Brittany Murphy before, and even then I've been very careful to speculate on her cause of death or be accusatory in any way. But if there's any clip that would convince me that this man had anything to do with her, it's this one, because the body doesn't lie. Okay, here it is.
I might wear this outfit during the wedding day, but come wedding night, I got a whole different suit that I put on. If you know what I'm talking about. You can stick around. We can't use that on TV either. Yeah.
Hey, I don't think it was that deep. I think she kind of made that face because he was laughing pretty hard. I think the only suit he was talking about was his birthday suit, but let me know if I'm missing something. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. And I appreciate you guys for stopping by on this beautiful Sunday and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.